All right. All right. We are in 1 Kings 16. Let's get after it. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jehu, son of Hanani, against Baasha, saying, Because I raised you up out of the dust and made you ruler over my people Israel, but you walked in the way of Jeroboam and made my people Israel sin to provoke me with their sins. See, I am going to sweep away Baasha and his house, and shall make your house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Anyone belonging to Baasha who dies in a city, the dogs eat, and anyone belonging to him who dies in a field, the birds of the heavens eat. And the rest of the acts of Baasha, what he did and his might, are they not written in the book of annals of the sovereigns of Israel? So Baasha slept with his fathers and was buried in Tirzah, and his son Elah reigned in his place. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came by the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani, against Baasha and his house, because of all the evil that he did in the eyes of Yahweh, in provoking him with the work of his hands, in being like the house of Jeroboam, and because he struck them in the 26th year of Asa, sovereign of Yehuda. Elah, son of Baasha, began to reign over Israel in Tirzah 2 years. And his servant Zimri, commander of half his chariots, conspired against him as he was in Tirzah, drinking himself drunk in the house of Arza, who was over his house in Tirzah. Then Zimri came in and struck him and killed him in the 27th year of Asa, sovereign of Yehuda, and reigned in his place. And it came to be, when he began to reign, as soon as he was seated on his throne, that he struck all the household of Baasha. He did not leave him one male, neither of his remainders, nor of his flesh, neither of his redeemers, nor of his flesh. So Zimri destroyed the entire house of Baasha, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke against Baasha by Jehu the prophet. For all the sins of Baasha and the sins of Elah his son, by which they had sinned, and by which they had made Israel sin in provoking Yahweh Elohim of Israel with their worthlessness, and the rest of the acts of Elah, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereign of Israel? In the 27th year of Asa, sovereign of Yehuda, Zimri reigned 7 days in Tirzah, and the people were encamped against Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. And the people who were encamped near it, or in the camp, heard it said, Zimri has conspired and also struck the sovereign. So all Israel set up Omri, the commander of the army, to reign over Israel that day in the camp. And Omri went up, and all Israel with him, from Gibbethon, and they besieged Tirzah. And it came to be, when Zimri saw that the city was captured, that he went into a high place of the sovereign's house, and burned the sovereign's house down upon himself with fire, and died, because of the sins which he had sinned in doing evil in the eyes of Yahweh, in walking in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin which he had committed to make Israel sin. And the rest of the acts of Zimri, and the conspiracy he made, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Israel? Then the people of Israel were divided into 2 parts. Half of the people followed Tibni, son of Ginath, to make him reign, and half followed Omri. But the people who followed Omri were stronger than the people who followed Tibni, son of Ginath. And Tibni died, and Omri reigned. In the 31st year of Asa, sovereign of Yehuda, Omri became sovereign over Israel and reigned 12 years. He reigned 6 years in Tirzah. And he bought the hill of Shomeron from Shemer for 2 talents of silver, and built on the hill, and called the name of the city which he built Shomeron, after the name of Shemer, owner of the hill. And Omri did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, and did evil more than all those before him, and walked in all the ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and in his sin by which he had made Israel sin, provoking Yahweh Elohim of Israel with their worthlessness. And the rest of acts of Omri, which he did, and the might that he attained, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereign of Israel? So Omri slept with his fathers, and was buried in Shomeron. And Ahab his son reigned in his place. In the 38th year of Asa, sovereign of Yehuda, Ahab son of Omri became sovereign over Yisrael. And Ahab son of Omri reigned over Yisrael in Shomeron 22 years. And Ahab son of Omri did evil in the eyes of Yahweh more than all those before him. And it came to be as though it had been a light matter for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he took as wife Isabel, the daughter of Ethbaal, sovereign of the Sidonians, and he went and served Baal, and bowed himself to it, and raised up a slaughter place for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Shomeron. And Ahab made an Asherah, and Ahab did more to provoke Yahweh Elohim of Israel than all the sovereigns of Israel before him. In his days, Hiel of Beth El built Jericho. He laid its foundation at the cost of Abiram, his firstborn, and at the cost of his youngest son, Segub. He set up its gates according to the word of Yahweh, which he had spoken through Yehoshua, son of Nun. 17. And Eliyahu, the Tishbite, of the settlers of Gilad, said to Ahab, As Yahweh Elohim of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall be no dew or rain these years except at my word. And the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Go away from here, and turn eastward, and hide by the Wadi Kereth, which flows into the Jordan. And it shall be that you drink from the stream, and I shall command the ravens to feed you there. And he went and did according to the word of Yahweh, for he went and dwelt by the Wadi Kerith, which flows into the Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening. And he drank from the stream. And it came to be after a while that the stream dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Rise up, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to sustain you. And he rose up and went to Zarephath, and came to the gate of the city, and he saw a widow there gathering sticks. And he called and said to her, Please bring me a little water in a vessel to drink. And as she was going to get it, he called and said to her, Please bring me a piece of bread in your hand. And she said, As Yahweh your Elohim lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin, and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple of sticks, and shall go in and prepare it for myself and my son, and we shall eat it and die. And Eliah said to her, Do not fear, go and do as you have said, but make me a small cake from it first, and bring it to me, and afterward make some for yourself and your son. For thus said Yahweh Elohim of Yisrael, The bin of flour shall not be used up, nor the jar of oil run dry, until the day Yahweh sends rain on the earth. So she went and did according to the word of Eliyahu, and she and he and her household ate for many days. The bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry, according to the word of Yahweh which he spoke by Eliyahu. And after these events it came to be that the son of the woman who owned the house became sick, and his sickness was very severe, until there was no breath left in him. And she said to Eliyahu, What have I to do with you, O man of Elohim? Have you come to me to bring my crookedness to be remembered, and to kill my son? And he said to her, Give me your son. So he took him from her arms, and took him to the upper room where he was dwelling, and laid him on his own bed, and cried out to Yahweh, and said, O Yahweh my Elohim, have you brought evil on the widow with whom I am sojourning, to kill her son? And he stretched himself out on the child 3 times, and cried out to Yahweh, and said, O Yahweh my Elohim, I pray, let the life of this child come back to him. And Yahweh heard the voice of Eliyahu, and the life of the child came back to him, and he lived. And Eliyahu took the child, and brought him down from the upper room into the house, and gave him to his mother. And Eliyahu said, See, your son lives. And the woman said to Eliyahu, Now by this I know that you are a man of Elohim, and that the word of Yahweh in your mouth is true. Chapter 18. And after many days it came to be that the word of Yahweh came to Eliyahu in the 3rd year, saying, Go present yourself to Ahab, and give rain on the earth. Thereupon Eliyahu went to present himself to Ahab, and the scarcity of food in Shomeron was severe. And Ahab had called Obadiah, who was over his house. Now Obadiah feared Yahweh exceedingly. And it came to be, while Isabel cut down the prophets of Yahweh, that Obadiah had taken 100 prophets, and hidden them, 50 to a cave, and had fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said to Obadiah, Go into the land to all the springs of water, and to all the wadis. It could be that we find grass to keep the horses and mules alive, and not have any livestock cut off. And they divided the land between them to pass over it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was on his way, then see, Eliyahu met him. And he recognized him, and fell on his face, and said, Is that you, my master, Eliyahu? And he answered, It is I. Go say to your master, Eliyahu is here. And he said, What have I sinned, that you are giving your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? As Yahweh your Elohim lives, there is no nation or reign where my master has not sent to look for you. And when they said, He is not here, he made the reign or nation swear that they could not find you. And now you say, Go, say to your master, Eliyahu is here. And it shall be, as soon as I am gone from you, that the Spirit of Yahweh takes you away to a place I do not know. And I shall come to report to Ahab, and when he does not find you, he shall kill me. But I, your servant, have feared Yahweh from my youth. Was it not reported to my master what I did when Isabel killed the prophets of Yahweh? How I hid 100 men of the prophets of Yahweh, 50 to a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, Go, say to your master, Eliyahu is here? Then he shall kill me. Excuse me. And Eliyahu said, As Yahweh of hosts lives before whom I stand, I shall indeed show myself to him today. Obadiah went to meet Ahab, and informed him. And Ahab went to meet Eliyahu. And it came to be, when Ahab saw Eliyahu, that Ahab said to him, Is that you, O disturber of Israel? And he answered, I have not disturbed Israel, but you and your father's house, in that you have forsaken the commands of Yahweh, and you have followed the Baals. And now send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, and the 450 prophets of Baal, and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Isabel's table. Ahab then sent for all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets on Mount Carmel. And Eliyahu came to the people, and said, How long would you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahweh is Elohim, follow him, and if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. And Eliyahu said to the people, I alone am left a prophet of Yahweh, but the prophets of Baal are 450 men. Now let them give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood, but set no fire. And I prepare the other bull, and shall lay it on the wood, but set no fire. And you shall call on the name of your mighty one, and I shall call on the name of Yahweh. And the Elohim who answers by fire, he is Elohim. So all the people answered and said, The word is good. And Eliyahu said to the prophet of Baal, Choose 1 bull for yourselves, and prepare it first, for you are many. And call on the name of your mighty one, but set no fire. So they took the bull which was given them, and prepared it, and called on the name of Baal, from morning to even until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they leaped about the slaughter place which they had made. And it came to be at noon that Eliyahu taunted them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is a mighty one. He is meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or it could be that he is asleep and has to be awakened. And they cried aloud, and cut themselves according to their ruling with knives and spears, until the blood gushed out on them. And it came to be, when midday was past, that they prophesied until the time of bringing the evening offering. But there was no voice, and no one answered, and no one paying attention. Then Eliyahu said to all the people, Come closer to me. And all the people came closer to him. And he repaired the slaughter place of Yahweh that was broken down. And Eliyahu took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of Yahweh had come, saying, Yisrael is your name. And with the stones he built a slaughter place in the name of Yahweh. And he made a trench around the slaughter place, large enough to hold 2 seahs of seed. And he arranged the wood, and cut the bull in pieces, and laid it on the wood, and said, Fill 4 jars with water, and pour it on the ascending offering and on the wood. Then he said, Do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, Do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water flowed around the slaughter place, and filled the trench with water too. And it came to be at the time of bringing the evening offering, that Eliyahu the prophet came near and said, Yahweh Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yisrael, let it be known today you are Elohim in Yisrael, and I, your servant, have done all these matters by your word. Answer me, O Yahweh, answer me, and let this people know that you are Yahweh Elohim, and you shall turn their hearts back to you again. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the ascending offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. And all the people saw, and fell on their faces, and said, Yahweh, he is the Elohim. Yahweh, he is the Elohim. And Eliyahu said to them, Seize the prophets of Baal, do not let one of them escape. So they seized them, and Eliyahu brought them down to the Wadi Kishon, and slew them there. And Eliyahu said to Ahab, Go up, eat and drink, because of the sound of the noise of rain. And Ahab went up to eat and to drink, and Eliyahu went up to the top of Carmel, and he bowed down on the ground, and put his face between his knees, and said to his servant, Go up, please, look closely towards the sea. So he went up and looked closely, and said, Not a speck. And 7 times he said, Go again. And it came to be the 7th time that he said, See, a little cloud, as small as a man's hand, is coming out of the sea. And he said, Go up and say to Ahab, Hitch up and go down before the rain stops you. And in the meantime it came to be that the heavens became black with clouds and wind, and there was a heavy rain, while Ahab rode and went to Israel. And the hand of Yahweh was on Eliyahu, and he girded up his loins, and ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Israel. 19. And when Ahab reported to Isabel all that Eliyahu had done, also how he slew all the prophets with the sword, Isabel sent messengers to Eliyahu, saying, So let the mighty ones do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And he feared, and rose up, and ran for his life, and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Yehudah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree, and prayed that he might die, and said, It is enough now. Yahweh, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. And he lay and slept under the broom tree. And see, a messenger touched him, and said to him, Rise, eat. And he looked, and saw by his hand a cake baked on coals, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank, and turned and lay down. And the messenger of Yahweh came back a second time, and touched him, and said, Rise, eat, for the journey is too much for you. And he rose up and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights, as far as Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And there he went into a cave, and spent the night there. And see, the word of Yahweh came to him, and said to him, What are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your slaughter places, and they have killed your prophets with the sword. And I am left, I alone, and seek my life to take it. And he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahweh. And see, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind tearing the mountains, and breaking the rocks in pieces before Yahweh. Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. Yahweh was not in the fire, and after the fire a still small voice. And it came to be, when Eliyahu heard it, that he wrapped his face in his robe, and went out and stood at the cave opening. And see, a voice came to him and said, What are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your slaughter places. They have killed your prophets with the sword, and I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. And Yahweh said to him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and you shall go in and anoint Hazael as sovereign over Aram, and anoint Yehu, son of Nimshi, as sovereign over Israel, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, of Abel Menoloah, as prophet in your place. And it shall be that whoever escapes the sword of Hazael, Yehu does kill, and whoever escapes from the sword of Yehu, Elisha does kill. And I shall leave 7,000 in Israel, all whose knee have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. And he went from there, and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he was with the 12th. And Eliyahu passed by him, and threw his robe on him. And he left the oxen, and ran after Eliyahu, and said, Please let me kiss my father and my mother, and then I follow you. And he said to him, Go, turn back, for what have I done to you? And he turned back from him, and took a yoke of oxen, and slaughtered them, and cooked their flesh, using the implements of the oxen, and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he rose up, and followed Eliyahu, and became his servant. Chapter 20. And Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, gathered all his army, and there were 32 sovereigns with him, with horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Shomeron, and fought against it. And he sent messengers into the city to Ahab, sovereign of Israel, and said to him, Thus said Ben-Hadad, Your silver and your gold are mine, and your wives and children, the best, are mine. And the sovereign of Israel answered and said, As you say, my master, O sovereign, I am yours, and all I have. And the messengers came back, and said, Thus speaks Ben-Hadad, saying, Indeed I have sent to you, saying, Give me your silver and your gold, your wives and your children. But about this time tomorrow I shall send my servants to you, and they shall search your house, and the houses of your servants, and it shall be that whatever is pleasing in your eyes they shall lay hold of, and take it. And the sovereign of Israel called all the elders of the land, and said, Please know, and see, the evil this one is seeking, for he sent to me for my wives, and for my children, and for my silver, and for my gold, and I did not refuse him. And all the elders and all the people said to him, Do not listen nor agree. So he said to the messengers of Ben-Hadad, Say to my master the sovereign, All that you sent for to your servant, the first time I shall do, but this I am unable to do. And the messengers went and brought back word to him. And Ben-Hadad sent to him and said, The mighty ones do so to me, and more also, if enough dust is left of Shomeron, for a handful for each of the people who follow me. And the sovereign of Israel answered and said, Speak. Him who girds on his armor should not boast like him who lays it down. And it came to be, when this word was heard, as he and the sovereign were drinking in the booths, that he said to his servants, Set yourselves. So they set themselves against the city. And see, a prophet came near to Ahab, sovereign of Israel, saying, Thus said Yahweh, Have you seen all this great company? See, I am giving it into your hand today, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. And Ahab said, By whom? And he said, Thus said Yahweh, By the young rulers of the provinces. And he said, Who opens the attack? Then he answered, You. And he mustered the young rulers of the provinces, and there were 232. And after them he mustered all the people, all the children of Israel, 7,000. And they went out at noon, while Ben-Hadad And the 32 sovereigns helping him were getting drunk in the booths. And the young rulers of the provinces went out first, and Ben-Hadad sent out, and they reported to him, saying, Men have come out of Shomeron. And he said, If they have come out for peace, seize them alive, and if they have come out for battle, seize them alive. So these young rulers of the provinces went out of the city with the army which followed them, and each struck his man. So the Arameans fled, and Israel pursued them, and Ben-Hadad the sovereign of Aram escaped on a horse with the horsemen. And the sovereign of Israel went out and struck the horses and chariots, and struck the Arameans a great smiting. And the prophet came to the sovereign of Israel and said to him, Go, strengthen yourself, and know and see what you should do. For at the turn of the year the sovereign of Aram is coming up against you. And the servants of the sovereign of Aram said to him, Their mighty ones are mighty ones of the hills. That is why they were stronger than we. But let us fight against them in the plain. Are we not stronger than they? Now do this, take away the sovereigns, each from his position, and put officers in their places. And number an army like the army that you have lost, horse for horse, and chariot for chariot, and let us fight against them in the plain. Are we not stronger than they? And he listened to their voice and did so. And it came to be, excuse me, at the turn of the year that Ben-Hadad mustered the Arameans and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were mustered, and they were fed, and they went against them. And the children of Israel encamped before them like two little flocks of goats, while the Arameans filled the land. And there came near a man of Elohim, and spoke to the sovereign of Israel, and said, Thus said Yahweh, because the Arameans have said Yahweh is Elohim of the hills, but he is not Elohim of the valleys. Therefore I shall give all this great company into your hand, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. And they encamped opposite each other for 7 days, and it came to be on the 7th day the battle was joined, and the children of Israel struck 100,000 foot soldiers of the Arameans in 1 day. And those that were left fled to Aphek into the city, and a wall fell on 27,000 of the men who were left. And Ben-Hadad fled and went into the city into an inner room. And his servants said to him, See now, we have heard that the sovereigns of the house of Israel are lovingly committed sovereigns. Please let us put sackcloth around our waists and ropes around our heads, and go out to the sovereign of Israel. It could be that he spares your life. So they girded sackcloth on their loins, and put ropes around their heads, and came to the sovereign of Israel, and said, Your servant Ben-Hadad said, Please let me live. And he said, Is he still alive? He is my brother. And the men divined, and they quickly grasped it, and said, Your brother Ben-Hadad. And he said, Go bring him. So Ben-Hadad came out to him, and he let him come up on the chariot. And Ben-Hadad said to him, The cities which my father took from your fathers I return, and set up marketplaces for yourself in Damascus, as my father did in Shomeron. And Ahab said, I send you away with this covenant. And he made a covenant with him and sent him away. And a certain man of the sons of the prophets said to his neighbor by the word of Yahweh, Strike me, please. But the man refused to strike him. Then he said to him, Because you have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh, see, as soon as you leave me, a lion shall strike you. And when he left him, a lion found him and struck him. And he found another man and said, Strike me, please. So the man struck him, striking and wounding. Then the prophet went and waited for the sovereign by the way, and disguised himself with a bandage on his eyes. And as the sovereign passed by, he cried out to the sovereign and said, Your servant went out into the midst of the battle, and see, a man came over and brought a man to me and said, Guard this man. If he should in any way be missing, your life shall be for his life, or else you shall pay a talent of silver. And it came to be, while your servant was busy here and there, he was gone. And the sovereign of Israel said to him, Your judgment is right. You yourself have decided it. Then he quickly removed the bandage from his eyes, and the sovereign of Israel recognized him as one of the prophets. And he said to him, Thus said Yahweh, because you have let slip out of your hand a man whom I put under the ban, therefore your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people. And the sovereign of Israel went to his house, embittered and displeased, and came to Shomeron. To Yahweh be praised. Blessings, shalom.